Right, Coach. I know a lot of the negotiations were in the stadium and how Lindsey Nelson Stadium can improve a little bit. What were some of those conversations like, and what maybe can we expect next season?
They were ongoing. They were extensive. They're still going. It was something that we really couldn't conclude in a relatively reasonable amount of time. So we decided to move forward and basically set our personnel and kind of put that to rest and give everyone peace of mind with that, including our staff, and then kind of treat it as that's part one. Let's move on to part two. So at least now, donors, fans, our recruits, our players know exactly what we're looking to do with our baseball program as far as personnel goes, and that's be fully committed, keep the band together, so to speak, as we say, together up in the office, and then move on to step two, which is this stadium project. And there's so many different ideas, a new administration that's getting to know us, and a lot of these conversations were put on hold because we're in the middle of a season. And unfortunately, a lot of them involve red tape, whether it be, legislatures or other big words that I don't really know that well, have to be involved, not just the administration and our baseball program.
Now, I know that there's still going to have to be lots of architects coming in and doing this and that, but do you have some ideas of what you want out there?
Yeah, we really do. The easy one is if you were fortunate enough to attend the Super Regional, you saw we had a lot of rowdy fans down the left field line, but there could have been more, and they could have been sitting in a little bit higher level of seat than just a bleacher, and no disrespect in any form with that, but it was temporary seating we had to bring in. We would like, at the very least, semi-temporary seating to be there at the start of next year. We'd like to have those type of crowds for all of our SEC games and maybe even some of the others. So having something there would be nice for next year, but down the road, we have to get something that's permanent there, and it will give a finished look to our stadium. So when we do have recruits looking around like we did today, it'll be aesthetically pleasing, but also in game day, our opponent will be surrounded entirely by Vol fans. And I know it made for a winning edge for us when that was the case.
Coach, how important do you feel those stadium renovations are to the long-term success of your program?
I think to sustain it, it's almost 100% necessary. If you follow college baseball, there's a couple things that are in place for all of the programs that have sustained success. Now, every now and then you see a blip on the radar screen, or just a well-coached program that will come and go with their success, but only every now and again do they kind of jump onto the big stage, so to speak. But for the ones that consistently are doing the things that are getting them either to Omaha or again, on the big stage in general, there's a formula there. And one of the things doesn't have to be in place, but for most of them, it's facilities, or they've got some other benefit going on, and so we need that to be an asset for us as well.
How big of a recruiting pitch can that be for you to say, here's the hope that I have for this stadium, come be a part of UT baseball and build that is yours? Yeah,
I think it's kind of a parallel to when we first got the job. We had a vision, and that was it. And we would lose some guys out to, well, I like your staff, but I want to go win right away. And it's like, well, our staff has won before. We just haven't done it together. We just got here together. So the stadium is now a vision, whereas the vision we originally kind of presented to people was we feel like we can have a fun environment and a winning environment. Well, the challenge is on to have that for this coming year, but at least you can look at last year and say the proof is in the pudding a little bit. For the facilities, that's now become, here's our vision, here's what's planned. There is some money there. There are things in the works, but it's not as tangible as you'd like it to be. To get it to be a little further down the stages can be huge in recruiting, keeping guys from maybe signing that name in the draft, other things that can produce more and more wins, and there's your sustained success.
Recruiting 4 years ago when you got here to recruiting now after you guys have had some success, how much different is it?
It's very different. They know who we are at the park, which is nice, and thanks again to our players for creating that. And the people now no longer want to know who we are. It's a kid from across the country. Well, here we're in Knoxville, and we're in the SEC. You've heard of the SEC, right? We've kind of skipped past that a little bit, so it's nice. Now, at the end of the day, it is about selecting from the recruit's perspective what school he wants to go to, and then us selecting the guys we feel is the best match. So to quantify how much it helps, I guess we'll know in a few years on the field, and our sport's so quirky with the draft and everything else. But if you're just talking about the environment that we now have when it comes to introducing ourselves to somebody, or, you know, being at the airport or whatever it might be, it's completely changed. And again, thankful for the players that are still currently here, and then the ones that have gone off on to bigger and better things.
How important was it when Evan Russell said he's coming back for a second senior season?
It was a massive relief for me, because my title is coach, but we have other coaches that are here, whether it be strength coach, pitching coach, recruiting coordinator, third base coach, and we have a player coach, and Evan Russell. And on top of that, you know, I guess along the lines with coaching, part of it is you're kind of an ambassador for the program. And he's an ambassador in my mind, not just for our program, but an important part of the program. In-state talent, in-state support, kids that grow up being Vol fans and cheering for Vol fans, and hold on to that dream of wearing the same uniform that they're seeing when they're in the stands cheering for guys. So a huge sense of relief, but the most important thing with that are guys like him and Luke will be available to say, this is what worked last year or the year before. This is our brand name, this is our flavor, and when he says this, this is what he means. Or maybe the coaches don't even have to say it, they initiate it with those guys. So a big benefit of having Evan back.
With those other guys, like Luke, Redmond, other guys who have decisions to make, have they given you an indication where they are in the process?
Yeah, I think Redmond's 100% in, and it's a scene that's tough to recreate with words. When the younger guys saw that, because he was in limbo a little bit. I mean, at some point as you get older, you got to start making adult decisions. And the younger guys were elated when they saw that that was what was going to go on with how he kind of stood up in a meeting. And then with Luke, he's 100% in academically, put everything in order. He's already prepping things, and Redmond will certainly be a leader. But Evan Russell and Luke Lipschus, I've already kind of teased him a little bit. Any competition we have, or the Fall World Series, there'll be two different teams, and those guys will be split up, and we'll see who the better quote-unquote captain is.
Did you ever think you'd have your own bobblehead doll?
No, and I don't know that that's worthy, and I haven't seen a finished product or anything, so hopefully I don't look too goofy, but it's pretty cool how everyone's rallied around everyone in this program. I mean, Evan Russell, I don't think ever would imagine that'd be such a big thing. I mean, I had people, I don't even know who they are, stopping me at these games, these high school games I'm out recruiting. Congrats on Evan. And, you know, I'm not on social media, so I was last to hear that he posted something, but I knew he was coming back. And to have people from different states getting excited about something like that, it's been pretty awesome to be kind of on the incline of improvement that we are, and having other people kind of boost us up. Well, there you go. I don't look too shabby, I don't think. I need to hit the weight room with those legs. They're a little small, but the bobblehead deal looks good.
He's got the gator on your neck.
Yeah, I kind of like that, because there's a lot of bitter memories and a lot of positive memories about the pandemic times, or whatever you want to label that. I'll forever kind of have a place in my heart for that 2020 team, the two type of kids they were, and also how good they could have been. I mean, Zach Daniels just gets bumped up to Double-A, Garrett right up to the big leagues. But then also this year's team dealing with that. If you looked at college football, they were the first ones kind of, at least one of the major sports, to be involved in that environment. And you had to overcome not just the opponent or other things, but, you know, beating tests and things like that. And these guys did a good job with that. So I don't mind seeing that deal on there.
You've had a little bit to look back at the past season, and what are some things that come to mind? What are things that are going to stick with you forever, and how do you hope that just continues on in team after team after team?
Yeah, I think I'll gain composure here by saying one thing. I think handing the baton off to the next guy is key, and there are guys that are ready to have that, but COVID kind of made it quirky, so having a guy like Evan Russell that'll be back and can make sure that, hey, this is how we do things here, is handed down to the next group of guys, and then someone else will be that person, is huge. And then I had to make a late night drive from one high school event to another. So you're just trying to stay awake on the highway. And I had the playlist going. And if you ever need to stay awake, Chad Dallas's walkout song popping on there. It was just on shuffle, but it got me pretty good. It got me pretty good. And
Vitello, your dad told me sorry, were you finished?
I need to be finished. So go ahead.
It's like you stopped, and then I didn't know. Your dad told me when we were in Omaha that you never stopped working, and that's why he's so proud of you. Have you taken a second to enjoy what you just did in the 2021 season?
Yeah, that was kind of that moment. I think in this role, it's not as easy to throw things and punch things as it was when I was an assistant if we lose. And thanks to you guys, or no thanks to you guys, if we win or lose, the next thing, I've tried to teach our players, next thing. The next thing you have is an interview. So it actually kind of helps, keep things in line, and then you need to kind of tell everyone what the schedule is the next day. So I don't consider myself any more important, especially in our strength coach or some of these other guys, what they do. But this role kind of forces you to be next thing, be on task. And while I don't consider myself mature, I think I've kind of been able to do that, and it's kept me busy. So you don't get that moment of reflection that maybe you should. And just random on the highway, a song pops on, and I'll miss those guys.